All right. Well, welcome, Rare Leader community, to day 2 of the Rare Leader Challenge. I'm Tony Jalen, joined here today with Dennis Hill.
Hello, Tony. Hi, Danielle. Hi, friends.
Hello, hello. And as he said, Danielle. So, if you joined us yesterday, we talked about clarifying your personal mission. And today's day 2 of our 5-day challenge, and it was talking about gaining further clarity. Uh, there's a quote that says, actually, first off, the definition of clarity means freedom from indistinctness or ambiguity, the state or quality of being clear. And truth be told about clarity, clarity comes from action. So today, we're going to take that personal mission statement, put some action behind it, and really ask you some insightful questions to really make you think on deciding, okay, what actions do I want to be taking over the next 30 days? That's our whole goal. Keeping it simple, keeping it real. So let's go ahead and begin. So right now, if you haven't grabbed your workbook, grab your workbook. And if you haven't got your workbook yet, go to therarechallenge.com, register so we can send you the workbook as well. Because if you register for the challenge, you also are eligible to have your name in the hat for different giveaways that we're giving. We are sponsored in part by Exacta Corporation, and they're giving away the corporate organizer plus more. That's 1 year access to a CRM program. We have Brilliant Breakthroughs book. We have 2 free 30-minute coaching sessions valued at like close to $500 a piece. So you're going to want to make sure to register if you haven't registered yet. So let's begin. Yesterday we did an exercise to clarify your personal mission as a resource. Here's a question for you guys. Why is having clarity around your personal mission a resource?
I think for having clarity, your mind is probably one of your biggest resources in how you're able to a- attack the day or your projects or whatever you have in front of you. And so I think having clarity and having a clear mind is probably one of the biggest tools in being able to be a resource.
I agree with that wholeheartedly. Clarity is definitely distraction free, and that makes it a resource, terrific resource.
Yeah, very well said. And again, I just want to put this out there for those of you guys who are joining us for the first time. We do conversations around these topics. And if you do want to join us in the conversation, go ahead and send us a message. We'll give you an invite to join us on this live conversation as well, because we believe through other people's perspectives is how we can also grow. So you've got your personal mission down, and this becomes your compass. Today, let's talk about how do you need to adapt in terms of your daily, weekly, monthly schedule to develop that mission into a resource that you can actually use to benefit you and others. So here's my first question. And you can go ahead and type this into your answer into the chat box for those of you guys who are joining us live. What do you want to accomplish this month towards your personal mission? So I'll give you guys an example while you guys are thinking of your answer here. So the mission of Rare Leaders, we call this our community, our network, is to be the community platform that connects you to the resources, the tools, and people to help you be successful in business, which end game is to enjoy more fulfillment in life. So one of the things that we did is, okay, we do on every Tuesday at 12:01, we do a Facebook Live talking about a certain topic, and we decided to do this challenge. So that's one simple thing. But what about for you? Let's start with you, Dennis. You think about your personal mission statement. What is something that you want to accomplish this month towards your personal mission?
Well, my goal this year was to help my clients simplify their processes.
Hmm.
And this particular month, I'm focusing on one particular client to try to get them moved from their in-house, very vulnerable computer systems and networks for accounting to the cloud.
Fair enough. Okay. Danielle, how about you?
One of my goals for this month is to just be consistent in working out and coming up with meals that are simple and easy to have prepared for the evening so that we can maximize our time that we are together as a family, and also just to enlighten the environment in our home.
All right, simple enough. So for those of you guys who are watching, when you think about this thing you want to accomplish, you start this by doing a mind dump. Literally, there's no wrong answers here. Okay, write down anything that's in your mind of what keeps you up at night, those situations or tasks that changed or if completed would make your life a lot more peaceful. Is it like, for example, it could be your desk. I know it seems really simple. Yeah, make that as a goal for some. Yeah, but a cluttered desk can create more havoc. Maybe you need to research on how you can implement new software. Wink, wink. um, or maybe, how about this? Maybe there's an unresolved or uncomfortable relationship issue that has the potential to reach a crisis. Because Warren Buffett said, if you didn't write it out, you haven't thought it out. And the truth be told, if you keep it inside, there's another good wisdom around this, that if it's you can't hide what's inside your heart. So eventually it's going to come out. And if it's taking up brain space right now, it's taken away from something else. So I'll give you an example. Another example here is someone could say, I want to use my skills and position to be a resource of emotional, social, and financial good in your company. Writing down this simple goal moves you toward fulfilling your mission. All right. And plus, you'd be really amazed at the good interaction you'll have by building positive relationships, right? Because you're intentional. If you're going to live, why not live intentionally? So here's the next step you can do in order to work through this. Write down your personal mission statement. Write it down. Write it down. Because out of sight, out of view, it's easy to forget. So if you have your personal mission statement written down, and for you guys watching Facebook Live, type it in the thing. Type it in the chat box. Or you can send us a DM. If you're not comfortable to that point to share it publicly, that's okay. Did you share one to Dennis or to Danielle or myself? The second thing is this. So as you look at your list, it can be daunting at first when you think about it, right? Like, oh my gosh, I got all get things. Just choose three. 3 results do you want to have for this month? And be as specific as possible. So Danielle, you've chosen your goals you want for this month. Where 3 specific results within those goals. Just share with one of them.
One of them would be to work on my emotional stability.
Okay. All right. And what are some, now here's the next question for all you guys too. What are the key behaviors and skills you must develop to help make that a reality?
For me, it's making sure that I'm reading some type of positive influence book, whether it's a relationship book, a leadership book, a marriage book, a parenting book, just something that helps feed me in that way to make sure that I'm modeling more what that looks like, and not just emotionally, like if something's upsetting me, that I'm just going off the handle, like that I have an awareness about it so that I can deal with it in a more rational manner if something is bothering me, and just being able to communicate better.
So I'll ask you, and Danielle, that's very good in terms of you realizing why you gotta do it in terms of being that example. Dennis, I'm gonna ask you this question. Why is that a good question to ask in terms of what are your key behaviors and skills you must develop? Like, why is it important to ask that question in terms of going after a goal?
Well, you need to assess or an inventory what you're capable of and identify where your gaps are, so you can surround yourself with people to step in those gaps. The other thing, though, is that I've always believed that you only excel as you overcome your weaknesses. So if you don't do that self-analysis and figure out where you need to improve, how will you ever excel? And let's face it, nobody plans to fail. We all plan to succeed. We all want to fly high.
Mhm. So I like in terms of no one plans to fail, right? I think all of us truly are like, okay, we're gonna make this work. But the
Mhm.
truth of the matter is that we're gonna at times fall down. And this is again why your mission statement is there. It's the thing that pulls you up. That's the reason again why you write down your key behaviors.
Mhm.
So here's another question that's going to help cement your 30-day goals. And we do 30 days because I know we want to have, your year-end goals and all those things are great. But sometimes the best way to eat an elephant is one ear at a time.
True.
So let's start small. I'm a big dreamer. I'm already looking at going ahead and solving world hunger. I got to start here first. One little step. So here's the next question that helps cement this in there. And write down your answers for this one. So we talk about the key behaviors and skills you must develop because what got you here won't get you there. What feelings are you experiencing once you accomplish your ideal outcomes and the results that you want? What feelings are you experiencing once you accomplish your ideal outcomes? Danielle, I'll ask you the question. Why do we ask that question?
I think the goal is to have a feeling of peace, that
Mhm.
you aren't having that anxiety of like being over cluttered in your mind and like all these things going on. So I think the ultimate goal is just to have that feeling of peace and relaxation and like knowing that what I'm doing is contributing in a positive manner.
Mhm. Yeah. This is called visioneering. If you've never read the book Visioneering, there's a book on it called actually Visioneering. You got to see the end before you get to the end. Dennis, why is that a good question to ask in cementing goals in terms of the feelings that you're experiencing once you accomplish your ideal outcomes?
Well, I think people pursue things that are going to give them some degree of contentment or satisfaction and avoid things that are going to give them pain and anxiety. So to understand your feelings for accomplishment allows you to kind of encourage yourself. I mean, that's really what it is. I'm going to encourage myself because I like the feeling of contentment. I like the feeling of joy. I like the euphoria I experience with the team here at Rare Leaders. It's just,
Mhm.
and it's a very exciting thing. So when we invest in the things that we feel attracted to, we divest from the things that we are not attracted to.
Right. There's a formula. This formula I'm going to share with you guys is not in the workbook. This is an extra bonus. However, it was given to me by a pastor on a plane when I was on my way to Texas. And what's ironic about this story is that Danielle and I had just got married. And instead of us going on a honeymoon, I'm like, honey, I'm going on a work trip right now in 2 days here, or a week now. And I was sitting on a plane with a guy who was a pastor, he was in the clergy. And we start talking, and he goes, "Oh, I see that you're married." I go, "Yes, yes." Now, little did I know that um, at the next stop on the way to Texas, I was going to be in the bathroom. I was washing my hands, and I put my ring down. I lost my ring for a moment, but that's another story for another day. I found it, but I go to him and I ask him this question. I'm like, do you like mentor and counsel a lot of couples? And he said, "Oh, yes, absolutely, I do." I go, "So if you were to give me a piece of advice for marriage and for relationships, what it would mean. And this is something that is absolutely solid gold. I'd recommend for you to write this down." He goes, "Here's the formula for commitment." He goes, "When the investment outweighs the pleasure, you'll have commitment. But if the pleasure weighs out the investment, you won't have commitment."
That makes sense. Cause and effect.
Mhm. So this is one of the reasons why we're digging into with these questions. What's the result you want? Like the result you want to be celebrating at the end of March. what skills and behaviors you've got to go ahead and adopt, and then what feelings are you experiencing once you accomplish these things? Because if you put the time and investment into it, really think it out, the likelihood of you succeeding it is a lot more versus just thinking, oh, I just want to do that. That sounds good. So looking further ahead, here's another question for you guys as we start going ahead and unlocking that inner leader of you is, where's a few goals you want to be celebrating at the end of this quarter? Well, quarter is going to be March to end of second quarter. So Dennis, what about you? And for those of you guys who are watching live on the Facebook page, feel free to go ahead and put this in the chat box as well.
So what goals through the second quarter?
Yeah. Do you want to be celebrating at end of June?
Oh, well, I've got a book being prepped for this year. And since I know exactly what that process involves from my experience last year, I hope to have it all done and put to bed by the end of the second quarter.
Like it. I like it. Danielle, how about you?
For me, I guess for the next quarter is just to continue to build on what I've been able to set into motion for this first quarter. So really continuing to stay focused on the workouts that I'm doing, the meals that I'm planning for our family, and then also taking that into another step of like really engaging Ezekiel into some of that planning and just making sure that what I'm doing and the example that I'm being is like being implemented because he's getting older, and what does that look like for him as he's growing up? So to continue to have him help in that process as well.
You bring up a good point. How many times have either of you experienced more success when you share your goals with others versus keeping them to yourself?
I'll yield to Danielle first.
I think that the other part of that is the accountability, knowing like somebody else knows what I'm doing. And so having that, are you going to get your run in today? Like instead of sitting here doing this with me, like having that sense of accountability to somebody else, like knowing and giving me that extra push that I may need on that day.
Mm-hmm. We don't always like that extra accountability check-in though, do we?
No.
Well, even on the accountability side, it takes a team to win things. No person, I think, today can survive, especially in a leadership role, developing products and ideas in a vacuum or an ivory tower, as it used to be called, those sorts of things. I think you need a support network, if for no other reason, just to continue encouraging you in what you're doing,
Mm-hmm.
helping you to share and communicate to others what you're doing. And this is critical. It's a process today that has been accelerated largely by the internet and social media and communications. Again, you can't do it by yourself. You can try, but you're going to run out of steam and become inconsistent, in which case everything falls apart.
Right. There's a quote that says, you either make yourself accountable or you'll be made accountable by your circumstances. And it's the glue that ties commitment to results. I mean, I'll tell you guys a story. This is a handful of years ago now. I think it was maybe 5 years ago. So I had this goal that I wanted to achieve. I wanted to go ahead and start writing more. And I made a commitment that I was going to write one brand new blog article for 52 weeks straight. Sounds like a pretty good goal, doesn't it? Yes, nice, noble, yeah. And I remember there were times when it was late at night, 10:30 at night, 10:45 at night. And I was just finishing another project or whatnot. And Danielle would go, so how's your article coming along? How are you reading my article? Like, because I hadn't gotten done yet. But because I shared the goal with her, it made a difference. I remember one time, it was later at night, and one of the people who were actually following the blog on LinkedIn sent a message to me. Hey, Tony, I haven't seen your article yet. Did I miss it? And I don't even know this person. They're from Canada because I shared in my goals was to write 52 weeks in a row of a blog. So in terms of accountability and these goals that you're all are writing down right now, in my experience, accountability separates the wishers in life from the action takers that care enough about their future to account for their daily actions. It's not comfortable always. We will falter, but sometimes when we're faltering, we need someone to go ahead and pull us up. So, who are you going to share this goal with? This is something you can add into your workbook, by the way. So, think about how about by the end of this year? You see how we start small and built up? Because the first goals you guys wrote down, they're achievable. You can see it. But it's hard to see things a year down the road. That's why we did it in the sequence here. And if you're going to unlock your inner leader, rare leader, and a rare leader, by the way, for those of you guys who are brand new, it's just not just a name, it means something. Rare times requires rare leaders. Dennis Hill said that, and I latch onto it. A rare leader is someone who's resourceful, who's adaptable, who's resilient, and he's willing to engage. But it's also a mindset. If you're not winning, if you're not achieving, ask yourself, well, am I being resourceful right now? How about being adaptable? How about being resilient? Am I engaging others? So something that you can always lean on to. So Danielle, what is by December 31st, it's 2021, what is something that you're going to be celebrating then?
I think celebrating our network of rare leaders, being together, I think helping create a community where we can lean on one another. I know this kind of goes back to the accountability part and sharing with one another, but I think by us being able to share with each other helps keep us accountable to the goals that we set out, just because of the fact that I may struggle some days, but since I've shared this with you, that you're going to be there to be able to say, hey, how's this going? And maybe that little extra motivation that I needed to get going again. And so I think one of the biggest goals that we have is to make this a community and a network of rare leaders that we can count on one another to continue to grow towards any goals that we have.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Dennis, how about you? What's the one thing, I know you got a list of things you're going to celebrate this year, but what's one thing you really want to, December 31st, 2021, like you're toasting that champagne right before it reaches midnight of 2022. Hard to even think about that already. What's that one thing you want to be raising that glass for and celebrating?
You're absolutely right. There'd be a lot of things to be celebrated and be thankful for by the end of this year at the rate it's going. But I think the one thing that I'd like to see is a rapid growth this year, or at least a doubling of my network of connections, especially on LinkedIn. I'm over 5,000, and the stuff that we're posting and sharing is very valuable. But I like the feedback that we're getting, the camaraderie, people reaching out. Again, that support network we were talking about before. If it's 5,000, why can't it be 10,000? Not
Right.
followers. I'm not looking for adulation and things. I'm just looking for a network of people who are authentic, and who are not afraid to share.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I'd love to celebrate at the end of this year, Tony.
Awesome. Well, it's being recorded, so it's now in print. And and I agree with both Danielle and Dennis, is that I want to be celebrating, like you said, Dennis, a network of a community that knows that we can lean on one another and support one another, and that we have the resources and tools to see and achieve the success that we all want to achieve. Like that gets me freaking fired up.
Wouldn't that be awesome? That would be truly awesome.
Yeah, because there's a lot of you guys who are watching right now. You bring so many gifts to the table, so many like insights and resources and tools that can be of value to the rest of the community. So I highly want to encourage you, to invite someone else that might be in business for themselves. They might be feeling on that island. And they need that place to go ahead and say, you know what, I got this going on. Can somebody help? because I believe it. I think that's a lot what we all need. So tomorrow we're going to be talking about the next part of this process of unlocking that inner rare leader of you, and that is identifying and removing those roadblocks and obstacles. Because the truth is, we're going to come up against them. And why run for them and instead just face them head on? And I think that's one thing that a lot of people miss when they're going ahead and setting goals and things that they want. She's like, you know what? They want to say, oh, there's not going to be obstacles. There's going to be obstacles. Whether we like it or not, there's going to be obstacles. So as we close up here, again, we appreciate you all investing the time, the value that you've gained from this. Please let us know. Your feedback is valuable feedback. I say that feedback is a gift. So give it, share it with us. So as we close up here, Dennis, let's go ahead and share some of your thoughts in terms of this day of gaining more clarity around what we want to achieve.
Well, clarity is the key, right? If you can't see it, you won't make it happen. And when we talk about leadership, we talk about vision, not just imagination, not just the creative content, but the vision. And in order to accomplish that, you have to envision how to get there. So I would like to share that tidbit today. Think of your vision and think of the journey to get there. You have the ability to do that.
Awesome. Danielle?
I just think it's important to write everything down, write your goals down, really look at your goals, how it relates to your personal mission, and work on things that will help bring that clarity to you, because without the clarity and the clear mind to see them, it's going to be harder to get there. And so when you're struggling, make sure that you're reaching out and asking for that help, because it may be one little thing that you're not seeing or one little thing that you could do a little bit differently. And instead of giving up completely, you have a team here of a network of rare leaders that are wanting to help you to continue on your journey.
Very well said. Very well said. So, folks, until tomorrow, lock it in your calendars. 12:01. Be here. Invite a friend. Things are great when you get to celebrate it together. I'm here with Danielle Jalen, Dennis Hill. Rare leaders connect, collaborate, contribute, rise up. Until tomorrow.
Bye.
See you tomorrow.